you're very welcome. So take a comfortable seat. Use a little prop if you can, a book, or if you've got a yoga brick, something fancy like that. But get yourself comfortable, and if sitting on the floor is too much, feel free to sit in a chair, just what works for you. As you sit down, can we keep a sense of length through the torso so we're not resting into some sort of prop or the back of a seat? So you sit nice and tall, and as you sit up, have a sense of rooting down through the pelvis, the idea of pressing down. In the same way that a tree will go down with its roots in order to create that strength to rise up. So the same principle in our bodies, we try to mimic that particular directionality of movement. So you just feel. And then as you get comfortable, close your eyes. And just notice your breath. And just notice what's there for you today. What are you noticing as you close the eyes, as the attention turns inward? And as we sit, as we close our eyes, there is this implicit movement toward a quality of stillness that is inherent within each of us, and yet so often something that is elusive in our lives, in our busy lives. And we are not designed to be on this earth and to continually move. Part of what we need in our movement toward balance, well-being, is a relationship to stillness. And one way of looking at that is that in some respects our practice is a prayer. That it is a movement toward awakening to or aligning with what is sacred within us. Because of course, what is continually shifting and moving and changing, we are in relationship to all the time. We're meeting ourselves in these ways all the time in the world. The part of us is out there doing what needs to be done, paying bills, going from A to B, looking after the kids, whatever it might be. But there's something else within each of us, something deeper, something that is still. And in the stillness, there is a voice. In the stillness, we're able to hear something that can be drowned out by the sound of the world. And the journey of that work, the journey in that direction, is something that fills us up. Or you could say reminds us that we are full when the world has emptied our cup. So stay connected, aware of your breath, whatever else might be going on for you today, whatever you're noticing in terms of your thoughts or feelings. And there's days where they're easy and comfortable, and days where it's a little bit more challenging to be in the inner experience. So the invitation of our practice is to turn in. This is the path of the yogi. We turn in order to be able to come into the world more fully. That if there are places that are hidden or disconnected or locked away, our offering into the world is inhibited. It's broken. So the invitation of our practice is the prayer that allows us to tune into those forgotten spaces, the parts of us that are fragmented, disenfranchised, protected, wounded. So noticing the breath. Just a little paragraph by John O'Donoghue. One of the most tender images is the human person at prayer. When the body gathers itself before the divine, a stillness deepens. The blaring din of distraction ceases, and the deeper tranquility within the heart envelops the body. To see someone at prayer is a touching sight. For a while, they've become carried within the soul. They rest in that inner temple, impervious to outer control or claiming. A person at prayer also invokes a sense of vulnerability and fragility. Their prayer reminds us that we are mere guests on the earth, pilgrims who always walk on unsteady ground, carrying in earthen vessels multitudes of longing. Carrying in earthen vessels multitudes of longing. So notice the breath. Be close to your breath here. If you can, if you're uncomfortable in your seat, feel free to lie down for a few moments. We're going to stay with our breath to begin our practice this morning. I want you to inhale for a count of 4 and exhale for a count of 6. And if you find that's too long or too much, shorten the numbers you're working with. But I want us to work with a longer exhalation this morning. So one of the key components to the lungs really beginning to work efficiently is working the capacity of the lungs to release stale breath. So that inhalation for 4 brings fresh, enlivening air into the body. And then that exhalation for 6, that longer exhalation, begins to tone the diaphragm and allow us to really release what becomes toxic in our system if it gets stuck. Inhale for a count of 4 and exhale for a count of 6. That's it. And stay with these breaths. That's it, you got it. Inhale for 4, exhale for 6. Inhale for 4, exhale for 6. That's it, stay with the breath a little bit longer. Inhale for 4, exhale for 6. Few more of these deeper rounds of breath. So after that next long exhalation, let the breath then return to its natural rhythm. I'm going to encourage you to breathe through your nose for our practice today. If you can, And if you have issues with breathing through the nose, ironically, the more you try to breathe through the nose, the more you'll begin to tone the mucous membrane of the nose, and the muscle of the nose, the pathways of the nose will begin to clear up, but they actually need to be used in order to be able to do their job. It's a kind of a use it or lose it kind of thing. The nose is incredibly important when it comes to breath, that really we're not designed to breathe through our mouth, and loads of studies now show that breathing through your mouth can be a cause of all kinds of imbalances in the body. So breathing through the nose, particularly for the nervous system, is a great way of beginning to regulate. And we're looking for balance all the time with the nervous system. The tendency for many of us is our sympathetic nervous system is overactive, that protective quality that is based on the idea that it's not safe. So we're really interested in the idea of soothing the sympathetic and beginning to really amplify the parasympathetic, which is that part of the nervous system that is comfortable with all of the change that we go through in our lives. That part of us that kind of recognizes that change is an intrinsic part of our lives, and that's okay. It's the part of us that is continually growing and learning and evolving. And when we begin to do practices that support the parasympathetic nervous system, we feel better, pure and simple. So we're going to come onto our hands and our knees. This morning we're going to focus on two areas really, but they encompass more areas as we work with them, and it's the hips and the shoulders. Hips are very much about foundation, about the idea of how the sympathetic nervous system, through working with the physical body, can come into a sense of ease, because when the hips are shut, our capacity to anchor into the earth, like the energetic connection that happens between us and the earth, that relays a sense of nervous, or a sense of calm through the nervous system, a sense of, oh, I'm connected to something in this physical, tactile way. When the pelvis begins to open up, that movement of energy and information increases through the body, and that begins to quieten the sympathetic nervous system. So we'll work with pelvis first, and then we're going to move into shoulders. But of course, the shoulders really work all the area of the rib cage, of the lungs, neck and head, all of that alignment. So hands and knees to begin. Hands and knees to begin. And the first thing we do is we close the eyes and we just begin to move a little. Just wherever the body wants to move to in this hands and knees position. You let the hips sway. You feel into the body. Maybe you could take some deeper breath into the ribs. You could shrug a little through the shoulders. Let the lower back soften. Breathe more deeply into the sides of the ribs. Notice if you're dropping or tilting the head down, that will tend to want to happen, not just in this position, but most of the time for most of us, we're unaware of where our head is in relation to our body, and quite often it's not in a very healthy place. That will create a sense of cutoff between the head and the body. And that's, again, one of the big dilemmas that we face in the modern world, is our heads are off doing something and our bodies are just disconnected. So filling the ribs up. Now spread the fingers, look at the hands, align the creases of the wrist with the front of the mat, that short end of the mat in front of you. And then as you spread the fingers, I want you to really see, can you bring weight to the base of the fingers? Really anchor down. And again, this is a way of working the hands more efficiently so that the wrists, the arms, the elbows, the shoulders have a greater chance of being in a healthy position when they're bearing weight in this way. Lower back is relaxed, so you know there's an arching in that space. Now, if you get tight somewhere, what's happening is the positions we're working with are revealing some of the weaknesses in the body. But this is great, because what we do then is we begin to breathe into those tightnesses. And notice as you breathe deeply into the space that feels tight, it begins to expand. So this is what we're working with, is the idea of how do we step into a fuller experience of ourselves. We work through the physical body, you take a breath, you expand the ribs, you work in ways in which the tissue creates a buoyancy in the body, a spaciousness in the body. And the same principles apply in terms of our emotional, our psychological well-being. Okay, very simple. Push the knees away from each other without moving them. Pull the hands toward each other without moving them. And then tilt your left hip back and your left shoulder forward. So just opening up that left side a little bit more. Now, anywhere along the way you get a bit of tightness or a bit of stuckness, just pause and breathe into it. It's not necessarily about how far you can go, but just noticing what's happening along the way. And then release that, little shrug or sway, second side. Breathe into the tightness, breathe into what you're meeting. Breathe into what you're meeting. Nice work. Okay, then come on back. Okay, really simple here. Lower back relaxed. So think of the curves of the spine, that double S shape of the spine. And again, one of the things that tends to happen, particularly for us in the West, is the spine tends to get flat. And that creates all kinds of havoc in our system. So the lower back relaxes and the ribs fill up. You breathe into the sides of the ribs, you breathe into the back of the ribs, press the earth away, don't let the head and neck drop forward. And then take your right knee, just tilt it to the right and bring it down. Do the same with the left side, tilt it to the right, to the side, bring it down. First side again, just open the knee out to the side. Listen, the easiest analogy or the easiest image to get with this movement is a dog in a lamppost. You just open the knee, bring it back down. Open the knee, bring it back down. Keep going. This is getting to move the hips in a way they're not used to moving, so it wakes up a lot of those stagnant areas. Again, we want everything working as a team, as a system, no one part overworking and taking the burden. This is how hips get worn out and people then end up needing new hips. So if we can remedy that, then we get to stay more agile, more lubricated as we grow older. Okay, next time the left knee goes out to the left, pause, make circles with the knee. Just little circles. Now, in particular, I want you to feel the movement in the hip. I want you to really see if you can isolate the awareness in the pelvis. Move that knee in the other direction. Great, great. Now, that knee is pointing out to the side. Extend the foot out, bring the foot down. So that left foot is to the left of your hip rather than way back or way forward, just to the left of the hip. Big toe comes down pretty easy. Little toe side, trickier to get down. Do your best. Means a big stretch in that outer ankle, outer shin. Okay, the knee, that left knee bends forward as you sit your hips back a little. And I want you to imagine you could maintain that little arch in the lower back. Big breath in the ribs, a little shrug through the shoulders. Notice the space between the hips and the shoulders as you move a little through the shoulders. So you're looking for length and space and curvature in the spine. Now, we walk the arms in the direction of that extended leg. And you only go as far as you need to begin to connect to some of the holding or tightness in the body. So again, the moment you're aware of something that feels a little tight, you pause and you breathe into that. You pause and you breathe into that. Enjoy your breath. Enjoy your breath. Breathe 3. And 2. Nice work. Okay, we're going to bring it all the way back into center. Come back. A little sway in the hips. Lower back relaxes. Almost like a sense of, as you let the lower back and belly relax, the bum gets to stick up a little. And that then lets the thigh bone drop backward in the hip socket. And this is a really healing reposition for the pelvis. That a lot of the time we're so tight around the abdomen and the diaphragm that it flattens the spine, and then the hips are in this terrible position to be doing the work that they're designed to do. So second side, tilt the knee out to the side. We begin just to move the knee in little circles and just feel the work in the hip, the movement in the hip. And then move that knee in the other direction. You got it. And then extend the leg out. Bring the big toe down, little toe down. That's it. Little bend in the knee, bum sits back. So you're trying to maintain the arch in the lower back. Fill the ribs up now, a little shrug through the shoulders to lengthen the sides of the ribs. Walk the two arms toward the extended leg. And again, as you meet tension or tightness, stay with it. As you meet it, just breathe. As you meet it, just breathe. Stay with what you're meeting. Breathe for 5, for 4, 3, 2, 1, and then bring that leg back in, and we're back on the hands and knees, back on the hands and knees. Okay, and again, little sway in the hips, lower back relaxes. Deep breath into the back of the ribs, little shrugging through the shoulders. Very simple. Okay, let's lift the two hands up, take the left foot forward, two legs are at right angle. Now, hands go to the base of the glutes, okay? So this is the part I want you to feel moving first, the base of the glutes going backwards. So you press the bum back, and as the hips go back, the sternum, the heart leans forward. Now it's one movement, so notice if one part goes a little faster or further. The moment your pelvis is saying, I'm not going to go any further, the upper body's not going to go any further either. Even though we could just drop it down, we're not going to do that. Okay, now first I want you to feel, or next I want you to feel the 2 feet on the floor. So get the toes pressing into the earth. Top of the back foot, sole of the front foot. Maintain that, 2 arms straight down toward the floor. So you've got the left arm on the inside of the knee, and you push the leg and hand or arm into each other. A little bit of resistance. And the hips are going back, and you're going to see, can you sink a little deeper? Now it's not the head and shoulders dropping down, the movement is around the pelvis. So you stay longer in the front of the body, and again this helps the pelvis stay in a really healthy position as we begin to go into some of the holding or the tightness in there. You just go to whatever feels available. Some of you might find you get the hands down onto the floor, some of you are going to have the hands above the floor. Quite often the inclination is to want to go further. I encourage you just to notice that. That what we're trying to do is create boundaries that actually really support more freedom. And sometimes that means not going as far as we might like to, as our heads might like to go. But really listening to the body. Just for 5, keep pressing the arm and leg into each other. Breathe 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. So we'll come on up. Second side, just change. Again, the base of the glutes are the part you're trying to move first, because the tendency is the shoulders and head will want to come forward faster, and that shortens and tightens the front of the body. So take the pelvis back, keep the belly and chest long, bring the 2 arms down. Arm on the inside of the leg, press the leg and arm against each other. The idea of you're trying to press the pelvis back, even a sense of the sitting bones trying to widen as you do that. Now in the beginning when we're working with a lot of these areas, they're kind of dull because we're not used to paying attention to them. And that's perfect in the beginning. And the more you practice in these ways, the more you will develop sensitivity, the more the nervous system begins to relay information more efficiently. Keep pressing the arm and leg into each other. If you find you get to sink a little deeper, brilliant, and if not, brilliant too. Stay here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to come up. 2 legs back. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of movement to really begin to align and work the hips in the way they're designed to work, which is a little fastidious because they want to work in a different way. They're used to, for many of us, working in a different way, a slightly misaligned, where one area will work a little bit more than another area. And let's see if we can get it working in a way that's more balanced. So, hands to the base of the glutes again. I want you to sit the bum back into the hands till you feel the muscle of the glutes expanding and engaging. And as you do it, you'll notice the back of the legs will engage more as well. So now the tone through the front, sides and back of the leg is much more even. The glutes are engaged, which tells us the thigh bone is sitting back in the hip. We're going to see, can we maintain that? You'll also notice there's more weight in the feet, so they've got to work a little bit more too. So the foundation, hips, legs, feet, they're all engaging in a way that we want them. Okay, we're going to keep the hands at the base of the glutes. So we're actively pressing the bum back, keeping the hips back. Left foot, as lightly as you can, steps forward. And you'll see what I'll do is I'll bring the big toe down, I'll keep everything else slightly elevated, and I'll step it back. And then I go to the second side, and I place it. And what I'm trying to do is keep the hips back the whole time as I'm transitioning. And as I bring one leg forward, How light can you be in the connection of that foot to the floor and stepping it back? And be prepared for it all to be a bit clumsy in the beginning. Because again, the hips are not used to doing this. You might notice that one side moves more easily than the other. And again, all of this work promotes more balance. Gaze is forward, not down if you can. Notice what's engaging and releasing in the glutes as you're holding them. Stay with it. Just a few more of these. Perfect. Left leg forward. Okay. Now this time, release the hands. Left hand on the left thigh. Right's going to come down to the floor, over to the right. Now, we're going to take that left foot and we're going to bring it to cross the left ankle over the back thigh. So the foot's on the floor, at least the toes are on the floor, heels slightly elevated, and you've got the left ankle pressing onto the back leg. Now, left hand on the inside of the left knee. You push the knee into the hand, and as you press the knee toward the midline of the body into the hand, so the hand's on the inner knee, you try to stick the bum out. And again, it's almost that sense of widening in the sitting bones, widening in the pelvis as you do that. At the same time, if it's available, lean back a little so that left arm gets a little straighter. Right arm strong and straight. Breathe for 5, for 4, for 3, 2, 1. Nice work. Okay, step that leg back. Come on up. Second side. So if it's the right leg forward, you got the right hand on the knee, left hand comes down to the earth. We hold the ankle, we bring it back, cross it over the back leg. You might need to reposition the other hand. Hand on the inside of the knee, knee pushing into the center of the body or at the midline of the body. Bum sticks out, bum sticks out. Now, if you find any part of this a lot, you got to pause and breathe and settle yourself. If you feel it's available, you lean the upper body back a little. That's it, and breathe for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Okay, and release that leg back. Okay, let's take the other side forward again. So let's move to the upper body. Do some work in the upper body. We'll go back to the pelvis again. Okay, so let's say if we have the left leg forward, left hand is on the knee, right hand comes down to the floor again. Now the right hand on the floor, you engage in the same way we did at the beginning. Remember the base of the fingers really trying to anchor down. Sorry about that. So the base of the fingers pressing down as opposed to the heel of the hand taking all the work. The crease of your elbow, you line it up with your thumb and that's going to help your shoulder have a healthy alignment in bearing the weight of the body. You take a free hand to the ribs, thumb at the back, fingers at the front. You take a few deeper breaths into the ribs. A little shrug through the two shoulders. Press the hand, bottom hand down so the ribs you're holding gets to lift up, open up, lengthen. Now all of this decompresses the ribs, it stretches the intercostal muscles, and these are the muscles that allow the lungs to work. They create space for the diaphragm, for the kidneys, for the liver. All of that area of the torso expands and becomes much more at ease as these intercostal muscles begin to open. So breathe into them, enjoy the stretch, enjoy the stretch. Breathe 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful work. And we'll release. And then second side. Very simple. Just take your time, little shrug through the two shoulders, line up the legs. Two legs are at right angles, so you got back knee under hip, front knee over ankle. Yeah, top hand onto the ribs again, thumb at the back, fingers at the front, so you feel all sides of the ribs as you breathe into them. And then we begin to push the bottom hand down, let those ribs we're holding arc up and open up and enjoy the length. A few breaths will begin to allow the softer tissue of the muscle and fascia to release the program that maintains the tight, heavy, stuck contractedness. So you breathe into it and you notice there's a pulsing quality to the breath and to the tissue as you breathe. expanding and releasing, expanding and releasing. Breathe 3, breathe 2, breathe 1. Let's release that. Let's go back to the first side again. Same position with the two hands. Take your time. Hand to the ribs. Breathe. Okay, let's take the free hand to the back of the neck. Cup the back of the neck. Now notice if you're twisting the head down or you're tilting or turning it up, could you bring the head to neutral? So you're pointing in the same direction as the navel. Top arm, you can see it in your periphery. It's horizontal as opposed to tilting up to the sky or even down to the floor. It's horizontal. And I want you to lean your neck back, lean back. And eventually that top elbow, so let's say it's the left elbow, is then tilting toward the right. And breathe into what you're meeting. Breathe into what you're meeting. And imagine you had your hand in the last position. Could you lift those ribs up again? Could you arc the ribs up, dome the ribs? Breathe 5. Enjoy what you're connecting to. 4, front of the throat is open. For 3, for 2, for 1. And then we release again. Beautiful work. Now pause with the two legs back. Close the eyes, relax the belly, notice your breath. And if you take a few deeper breaths, can you notice the difference on the two sides of the ribs? How the side that was on top last will feel much lighter as you're breathing. Okay, perfect. Second side. Place the hand. Breathe into the ribs. Hand to the back of the neck. Remember the positioning of the head, just feel, take a bit of time, particularly taking time aligning the head, because the head actually is so used to being out of alignment, as is the neck, that it kind of becomes a duller space. It's not as easy to be aware of where it is in space. So every time you take a moment to pay attention, you're building what we call the receptivity, or the Golgi tendons, the tendons that relay information, tell us where we are in space. Okay, lean the neck, press the neck back, let the top elbow begin to extend. Enjoy the breath. Front of the body is not facing the floor. If anything, it's facing the wall, maybe even turning a little to the sky. Keep breathing. Maybe the top ribs can arc up a little bit more. Breathe 5 and 4 and 3 and 2, 1, and then we release again. Beautiful. Okay, perfect. So just up onto the knees, close the eyes, let the belly relax. Just notice the breath. Notice the inhalation and exhalation. Inhaling and exhaling. Okay, and then we open the eyes. So in this position, we take the hands to the ribs. Thumbs at the back, fingers at the front again, same idea. You're on the ribs as opposed to below them. So you're on the lower ribs. And then just breathe deeply into the ribs. So as you breathe into the ribs, breathe into the back of the ribs, breathe into the sides of the ribs. Long, deep breaths. Breathing through the nose if that's available. So really see, can you again keep the breath with the nose, breathing through the nose. Okay, so as you hold the ribs, as you fill them, the ribs are pushing out into the hands. The hands can squeeze in just to encourage the ribs to expand. Lift them up. Pull your ribs up. Pull them away from the hips. Open up that mid-region of the body and then arc over to the left. So all the way from the hip, through the sides, through the waist, through the ribs, breathing into the sense of tightness that you're connecting into. Breathe 3, breathe 2, breathe 1. Come on back, fill it up again, wait for the breath. Once you're full, the ribs are expanded, arc in the other direction. That's it. And again, enjoy the breath. Perfect. Breathe 3, breathe 2, breathe 1. So the ribs, not only are they creating capacity for the lungs, so the lungs can actually hold more air, and the healthier the lungs are, the healthier we are. So it's one of the key organs in terms of, look, obviously all of the organs are important, but the lungs are hugely important in terms of our longevity, our quality of life. And if we're working in ways that are supporting the lungs, expanding, moving into their fullest expression, they're going to serve us much more. And, you know, all of this work will maintain lung health. They say, you know, from 20 to 60 that we can lose up to 70% of lung capacity over those years if we're not working with them. But if we are working with them, we can maintain that and we can even surpass that. So if our lungs had never gotten to their fullest potential, this type of work can really begin to support you going in that direction. And again, if you're absorbing oxygen in the way you're designed to, you will stay younger longer. That's simply the way it is. Okay, very simple here. Let's take the left foot forward. We're going to go a little bit further here. Left hand up on the left knee. We're going to bring the right hand down to the floor again. Tuck the back toes under this time. Lift the back knee up off the floor. Okay, and then just pause. Now the front of the body facing the front leg as opposed to the floor. Bottom hand and arm are strong. We take the free hand to the ribs again. We push the earth away. Maybe the back knee can lift higher. So all of that top side getting to lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Breathe into what you're meeting. Breathe 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Okay, and release. And we'll go to the second side. That's it. Tuck the back toes under. Lift the back knee up. Breathe. Hand to the ribs. Enjoy it. So wherever you notice the most tightness, that's where your attention is needed. Breathe into that space. Breathe into those spaces. Breathe 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful work. Great. Okay. Very simple. We're up on our knees again. Left hand goes behind your back as if you're trying to slide it up the back. Please do not force or strain. This is a lot of work for that shoulder. Other arm goes up over the head and down the back of the neck and upper back. Now, you might find the fingers connect and hook. You might not find that's there. Doesn't matter if it's not. If it's not there, one thing you can do is you can have a strap or a belt in the top hand so it drops down to the bottom hand and then the bottom hand can hold it too, or you've got the fingers connected, or the fingers are just pointing toward each other. And what I'd like you to do first is notice if your head is jutting forward to accommodate the position of the arms. Bring the neck back, open the front of the throat up a little, and then breathe into the back. Breathe into the back. Breathe into where your hands are. Just close the eyes and notice that space. See, can you create any sense of pulse through that space of the back as you're breathing? Feel it with the hands. Notice that space. So building dexterity, awakening the back of the lungs, a hugely important part. And quite often particularly the back of the ribs, back of the lungs, intercostals become stagnant, heavy, dense. So breathe into that. Now very simple, the top elbow begins to tilt upward a little. Whatever feels available. Breathe, enjoy the breath. And then let's say we have the right elbow up or the left, whichever side it is, you're tilting in the other direction. So if you've got the right elbow up, you're tilting it over toward the left. So again, from the hip all the way up through the arm to the elbow, all of that space, stretching, lengthening. You go to whatever is available for you. Please do not force again. Breathe 3, breathe 2, breathe 1, and then come on back and release. And shrug a little in the two shoulders. Shrug in the two shoulders. Second side. Again, as you find the position, relax as much as you can to begin. Notice if the head is tilted forward. And then breathe into the back. Breathe into where the hands are. That's it. Breathe. You notice it's trickier to get the back working with the breath. Front tends to just happen. Now, slowly the top elbow begins to tilt up. You can hop off at any point. You can pause at any point if you want to. You're arcing in the other direction. Breathe 3. And breathe 2. Breathe 1. And then we come all the way back. And as you release the arms, again, a little shrugging in the shoulders. Little shrugging in the shoulders. So obviously the arms and the shoulders do a lot of work, and one of the reasons the shoulders will get tighter or become chronically sore is because the rib cage, being overly contracted, has the shoulders in too low a position. So when things are out of alignment in that way, and then we're working with them, they become compacted. The opposite is true when you begin to realign and create more space. As you use the body in those ways, the body actually becomes stronger. And it's this idea that the body is designed to work. It's designed to be in the world and to move. But if it's in chronic misalignment, then the experience will be one of contraction, one of density, one of sluggishness. So we're, through our practice, just encouraging the body to begin to release those pockets of holding that are keeping us stuck. Okay, very simple. 2 hands to the sides of the skull, yeah? As if you were running your fingers through the sides of the skull. Elbows come in and they're parallel. So they're not splaying out to the side, they're parallel. First thing I'd like you to do is let everything relax as much as you can. Take some deeper breaths and breathe into the ribs again, as if you were holding them. Breathe into those spaces. Notice not only the quality of expanding through the ribs, but notice how the shoulders will also move as you take an inhalation. So they'll float up, and as you exhale, they'll drop. Okay, now I want you to keep the fullness as best you can. Elbows stay parallel. Begin to tilt the elbows up. You'll notice the sternum lifts, the belly lengthens. Now, if something in the back gets sore, you need to pause and you need to just breathe into that. You might need to back off a little. You go to whatever feels available. Breathe into any tightness. Now, from here, can you arc to the left? Keep breathing. It's as if the head is pressing back into the fingers and elbows are pressing forward. Come back through center. Take a deep breath. Keep the elbows elevated and the throat open. Fill the ribs up. Go to the second side. And breathe 3, and 2, and 1, and then come all the way back. Release the arms. Little shrug in the shoulders, little releasing of all of that. Perfect, okay. Now, we bring the left hand into the same position. Right hand holds the elbow, yeah? So fingers in the outer elbow. Right forearm, we can see it in front of us, horizontal. The hand and the elbow press against each other, yeah? They press against each other. The head and the fingers press against each other. So the head is trying to tilt back and the fingers are gripping. Now fill your ribs up. Breathe into the ribs, particularly the back of the ribs. As you feel the ribs fill, can you press the head back and tilt the elbows higher? So they're lengthening up, throat opening. So if you've got the left hand on the skull, you're arcing to the right and vice versa. Ribs are full, throat stays open. Press the hand and elbow against each other, maintain the resistance. Breathe, press the head into the hand for 4, 3, 2, 1. And we come back and we release. And again, little shrug, little sway, second side. Deep expanding breath into the foundation of the shoulders, the ribs. Press the hand and elbow against each other. Begin to tilt the head back, lift the elbows up, whatever is available. Maintain the resistance. The fullness in the ribs, arcing over to the other side. Breathe 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we come back again and then release. And again, a little shrug in the shoulders. So we are going to sit down and you're going to use your, whatever you're sitting on, whether it's a cushion or a book. Quite often it's good to have something fairly solid to sit on. A book as opposed to a squishy cushion, or to roll the cushion up to make it a little denser. So it's something firm for the pelvis to hold it. We're looking for a particular position with our pelvis that we're not used to, but most of us are not used to in the West. And that position in the pelvis then becomes the foundation for the sacrum and the lower back. So a lot of us have chronically misaligned pelvises, and there's all kinds of other bits that are connected to it in terms of the alignment of the body, the mechanics of the body, the biomechanics of the body. But as we begin to realign the pelvis and bring it into healthier positions, we create more space, we release kind of residual holding, old tensions that we carry, then the sacrum becomes much more open, and in the openness there's actually more stability. It's slightly paradoxical. As the thing opens up, it actually becomes more stable. Because again, our tendency is to accumulate a lot of the work in the front of the pelvis, in the groins, in the tighten and become hard, and there's a disconnect into the glutes, and the sacrum, the sacroiliac area becomes very unstable for us. So we're sitting in a cross-leg position if you can. If you can't sit in this position, just wait this one out. We have the left foot in front of us. So we're going to hold either the left ankle, or you reach down, you hold the left foot. If you're holding the foot, I want you to hook the arm on the little toe side of the foot. And before you lift the heel up, whichever way you're holding, I want you to take a deep breath and sit up as best you can. Yeah? You'll notice you've kind of tilted forward to find the foot. Sit up. Okay, so I want you to try to keep all of that length. We've worked with that in a few other poses. Maintaining it, lift the foot so the sole of the foot points forward. Okay, now do not twist just the foot. When we move this lower leg that we're holding, the foot, the ankle, the shin, the calf, they move as one piece. Let the foot come a little closer to your sternum, hold it with the two hands, put your thumb on the big toe. Push your big toe into your thumb. Build a little bit of resistance. Take a few deeper breaths. Could you lean forward a little and a little shrug in the shoulders, and then lift the sternum area. Get a little longer there. Breathe. Now, there's no crease in the inner ankle, so you haven't twisted the foot and overworked the ankle. So no crease in the inner ankle. You might need to take the foot away to maintain that. And then without moving anything, the left foot pushes to the right. You're pushing it into the hands. Push it to the right. Same time, breathe deeply, take a few shrugs in the shoulders, stay long in the upper body, stay with this, stay with it. Breathe for 5, breathe for 4, breathe for 3, 2, 1, and then release. Nice work. And then for a moment before we go to the other side, just close the eyes. Get as comfortable as you can. Just notice the difference in the two sides. That leg or hip that we worked with, some of you will notice there's a dropping quality. That what we've gotten so used to with our bodies, and possibly we could argue with our lives, you know, even the idea of things like Zen, you know, how do we live in a way that is more harmonious? How do we live in a way that has less angst in there? And when we begin to work with our bodies in these ways and we uncover these pockets of holding, and it's only by beginning to move in ways that allow us to taste freedom that we then become aware of, wow, I've been holding so much in my body. So much of that compartmentalizing, shutting down, protection, and then we begin to let it release, and we then get to explore what's underneath it. What does it feel like to be a little freer in our bodies? What does it do for our minds and for our hearts? Okay, so we hold the other foot in the same way. You're either holding the foot or you're holding the ankle, whatever is available. Take a breath, sit up nice and tall. So again, remember the idea of anchoring the pelvis down as you sit up. Hold the foot, swing it towards you, two hands on the foot, big toe active, it's a little but important part of the body. Breathe. Is it possible to tilt slightly forward in the pelvis and try to press the bum down again? It's tricky, I know. Just do the best you can. Now, without moving, if you're holding the right foot, you're pushing it to the left. So you feel that engagement right into the hip. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we release. Beautiful. Okay. First side, one last time. Hold the foot of the ankle. Take a deep breath. Let the breath inflate you. So the breath is a way of expanding the ribs circumferentially, meaning the circumference, all sides move together. This is the key to the body working efficiently. We're not leaving one place behind. We're not overly taxing one place. We're looking at how we can inhabit and move our body in a way that is much more balanced, much more integrated. And the body then becomes this revelatory process where we get to experience more lightness, more spaciousness, more ease, and that again translates into the psychological and emotional components. Okay, so we hold the foot, whatever way works for you. We sit nice and tall, we lift the foot. Again, we're not bending the ankle, so the foot and the leg move as one piece. You bring a little closer to the sternum, that's the direction it's moving. Hold with the two hands. Notice the way the tendency is to tighten this front body. Take a deep breath, shrug a little in the shoulders, sit up, no crease in the inner ankle. push the foot. So the left foot pushes to the right. Press it for 5. Push everything you've got. 4, 3, 2, 1, and then release. Beautiful. Okay, second side. Hold the foot. Take a deep breath, nice and tall. Lift the foot, swing it to whatever's available. 2 hands on the foot, no crease in the inner ankle, big toe active. Nice deep breath. Press the foot now. So the right foot pushes to the left for 3. Push, 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 push for 2. For 1. And then you release. Beautiful work. Okay. So we're sitting in cross legs. Let's do this. One last realignment. If we bring the weight over to the left side, so we can do a little bit of work with the right side. One hand on the inner thigh. One hand tries to scoot under to the glute. Okay? Engage the leg, twist the inner thigh down, pull the glute up. So it's an inner rotation. Inner thigh down, buttock pulls up, and then release that side down, release the 2 legs and just notice. See if you can spot any subtle shifting that's happening. And then do the same with the other leg. Inner thigh and glute, engage, inner thigh goes down, glute rises up, and then we release. 2 hands resting on the thighs, index finger, thumb, gently connecting. Close the eyes. Relax the belly. Notice your breath. So again, we're breathing through the nose if that's available. Inhaling and exhaling. Just stay with the breath, just gently aware of it. Now the same breath that we worked with at the beginning of our practice, inhaling for 4, exhaling for 6. If it's too much, go for shorter amounts. But the exhalation is longer. And as best you can, breathing with as little effort as possible. No part is pushed, forced, strained. Breathing through the nose, slow and steady. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 6. Stay with your breath. Stay with the breath. After your next exhalation, once again bring the breath back to its natural rhythm. And stay close to the breath. Stay close to your breath. Stay with your breath. We're going to bring the hands then together in front of the heart. So maybe even just noticing in terms of what's happening or moving internally, how does it feel like it's shifted over the course of our practice? And that when we begin to work in ways that are redistributing our body, redistributing what's in our bodies, bringing them back into balance, bringing them back into equilibrium, we again feel better. Those places where we accumulate too much tension, where we shut off, where we close down, they all begin to come back into the bigger pulsation, the healthier rhythm, the healthier beat. So even now with our hands together here, you'll notice it's a little quieter inside. And this frequency of peace is something that exists in every moment. And what we're learning to do with almost the idea of our bodies as antenna is tune into that quality of peace. And that's the frequency that allows us to feel at ease, to feel like it's okay, no matter what might be going on in our lives. So we ask that our practice support us in tapping in to this place, this frequency of ease or this frequency of stillness with more ease. And the more we practice, it's the more refined our system becomes, the more capacity we have to go to that place. It's almost as if we're learning the directions. And the muscle holds memory, so the body then is able to get to these places with less effort, with less time. And it's that place of stillness that is, in a sense, the prayer. This is the place that we're connecting to. In a way, it's how we become more intimate with ourselves, the places that we have locked away or hidden or protected that we need to experience. This is why we're on this earth, is to meet ourselves in this human form, to meet what it is that we've come in to do, to meet, we've got our family karma, our family constellation, what we've inherited, what we've brought in to work with. And all of it gets processed through this type of work. It creates a lightening, an opening up of our system. And then we're more connected to this bigger pulse of life. And in that sense, more alive. We take the hands to touch our forehead. And then we bring the hands down to the lips. And then we bring them back to the heart. And to ourselves, to each other, we bow. Namaste. Good work. So thank you very much for joining in. If you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel, I would encourage you to do that. And I'd appreciate it as well. And if you haven't paid, and you can pay, there's a few different options on my website, michaelryanyoga.com. We're working with a month of meditations at the moment, and there's still room to sign up for that if you wish, and I'll be able to give you the recordings that we've already done for the month of September. And it's a great way of building a steady practice. And it's simple, it's 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes each morning live. And then if that time doesn't suit, you can do it another time with the recording. But the day in, day out practice is what really begins to create the rewiring, the reshaping, the refining of our systems to become more receptive, to be able to feel life more richly. Yeah, and we really then get to shed the stuff we don't need to keep carrying around. And this is evolution. This is how we grow and how we deepen our capacity to feel more richly and feel more fully. So, and then there's a few other things coming up too. We've got a physical workshop happening in October. That's sold out, but we're going to do another one in November. So I'll let you know about the dates for that as soon as I can. And I hope you have a great day. All right. And if anybody has any feedback or you'd like to work on anything particular, do get in touch and let me know. All right. Take care.